For my part, when I enter, when I enter the most, sorry, for my part, when I enter the most intimate, when I enter most intimately, what I call myself, I stumble on some particular perception. I never can catch myself at any time without a perception, and never can observe anything but the perception. David Hume, from the Treatise of Human Nature, 1739. Good afternoon, and welcome to another Set Talks.
Yeah, welcome to Set Talks, where we separate fact from fiction. Mess it up a minute every time. This that Set Talk, yeah, we set it straight. Cut through the noise, elevate the debate. No pseudo talk, no foggy claims. Just evidence-based when we build these frames. Set Talks, yeah, clarity first. If it ain't got method, it probably won't work. From ancient knowledge to modern science, we draw that line, that clear define. They say the ancients had science. Hold up, pause. Knowledge ain't the same as methodological laws. Observation, yeah, but control tests rare. No predictive models, you gotta be fair. We respect the past, but we keep it exact. Precision matters when you deal with facts. Astronomy grew, astrology split. One stayed empirical, one lean myth. The shift came through naturalistic method. Just standing of eyes, that's how we embed it. Not culture bound, not tied to a place. It's a universal tool for the human race. This got Set Talks, yeah, you said it straight. Cut through the noise, elevate the debate. No pseudo talk, no foggy claims. Just evidence based when we build these frames. Set Talks, yeah, clarity first. If it ain't got method, it probably won't work. From ancient knowledge to modern science, we draw that line, that clear defiance. They blur definitions, start moving the goalposts. Turn fried to a claim that don't hold close. Science ain't known, this a process refined. Independent of culture, space and time. You can't redefine it to fit identity. That's how you lose all epistemic integrity. We test every claim, we don't just believe. If it can't be verified, we don't receive. From early observers to labs today, it's rigor and doubt that paved the way. Not name dropping scholars to win a debate, but data and method that validate. So what's your ideology? That's cool to ask, but truth ain't decided by the loudest class. We question it all, no sacred ground. If it don't hold up, we break it down. This that Set Talk, yeah, we live in direct. No fear in the facts, just intellectual respect. No more, no mirror, no fantasy, just truth, logic, and consistency.
Good afternoon, and welcome back to another Set Talks. Today we're back on the philosophy of mind, but don't get confused. It's going to tie into the last couple of episodes that we have been developing within technophobia and scientific literacy. Sorry, excuse me. There is a method to the madness. As with always, before we get into the show, I always ask you to do me one favor. Hit the like button on your way in, and if possible, share on your social media. Don't be shy. Let me know you're in the building. Say something in the chat, uh, and let me shout you out. As always, it's good to have you here in the chat, Karen. I see you. Black Sun 43 Peace Family. It's always good to have y'all here in the chat. So, yeah, we've been having interesting discussions over the last couple of episodes. We started to talk about the necessity for scientific literacy based on an episode long ago on the community of skeptics. While doing that episode, I'm reading the room and understanding the nuances of the conversation. Technophobia came into play, and especially regarding our modern technological developments around AI. And so we delved into that specific area for a bit, and we have some more stuff to do. That episode was highly contentious and a lot of aspects. The philosophy of mind, how this ties into that, you are going to see throughout the course of this episode how it directly ties into this phenomena. And being grounded in a philosophy of mind allows you to understand again where you're being manipulated, where media hype the hijacking of terminologies is creating the illusion of sentience, creating the illusion of awareness, of cognition, of these AI systems becoming alive. Right? And this relies on two factors: our tendency as humans to anthropomorphize, and of course, these commercial entities taking advantage of this phenomena and using it to their discretion. Again, if you're in the building, say something in the chat. Let me shout you out. Think we're family over here. And of course, again, appreciate if you hit the like button on your way in. And if possible, share on your social media. You are seeing the necessity for said talks and the programs that we do over here on the pseudo killers in the community of skeptics. Shout out to the God Killer. Appreciate the God Killer. He's much braver than I. This man has the ability to go into the asylum and then actually deal with the inmates. I do not have that courage. I do not have that skill. I do not have that ability. Shout out to the God Killer. All right. And as part of my ritual, before we get into the actual show, and I do my opening monologue, I always like to play us a little bit of music to get us in the right frame of mind and let us know what we're doing. And since we the PK, I'm gonna hit y'all with the PK anthem today. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ah, yeah. Ah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. I'm a pseudo killer nigga, and I'm coming for your head. So scammers accountable for the pseudo shit that they spread. Ain't no more running, nigga. I'm pseudos to bed. I'm the boogeyman for these prayers, leaving these streets red. I'm a pseudo killer, pseudo killer, pseudo killer, pseudo killer. No frauds, no fake, no fillers. We straight pseudo killers. No flim slammer, hustlers and scammers. We pseudo killers, pseudo killer, pseudo killer, pseudo killer. I'm tired of this talking niggas steady running their mouth. Beating chest on platforms, always loud and wildin' out. They ain't saying nothing, only begging for some clout. When I step in the rain, nigga, mama say knock you out. I'm a pseudo killer, pseudo killer, pseudo killer, pseudo killer. No fraud, no fake, no fillers. We straight pseudo killers, no flip flammer, hustlers and scammers. We pseudo killers, pseudo killers, pseudo killers, pseudo killers. If think you won't smoke, nigga, come and take your shot. It been a long time coming, nigga. Now show us what you got. I ain't trying to be friendly, nigga. Wipe ass out your face. This is war, nigga. Only one way to sin. Say goodbye to net. I'm a pseudo killer, pseudo killer. No cross, no fake, no fillers. We straight pseudo killer. No flip flammer, hustlers and scammers. We pseudo killer, pseudo killer, pseudo killer. Science is undefeated, nigga, so we never lose. We always well equipped, nigga, armed with all the tools. Always ready for pseudo, they always tryna pin the rules. PK stomping, go these clowns, got them looking like some fools. Fuck around and find out, nigga, you should've stayed in school. I'm a pseudo killer, pseudo killer, pseudo killer, pseudo killer. No frauds, no fake, no sellers. Be straight pseudo killers, no flim flammer, hustlers and scammers. Be pseudo killer, pseudo killer, pseudo killer, pseudo killer. All right. Before we get into the presentation, let me hit you with my opening monologue. Every day we use the word I without giving it a second thought. Without giving it a second thought. I woke up this morning. I remember my childhood. I made that decision. I will be here tomorrow. The idea seems obvious. There is a single, continuous person moving through time, a stable self that experiences life from birth to death. But what if that intuition is mistaken? What if the self is not a thing but a process? What if the person you were 10 years ago no longer exists in any meaningful sense? Over the course of our lives, our bodies change. The cells that make up our tissue are continuously replaced. Our memories fade. Our beliefs evolve. Our personalities mature, and our brains physically reorganize themselves through learning and experience. Yet, despite this constant change, nearly all of us believe we remain the very same person. Why? What exactly persists through time? Is it the body, the brain, memory, consciousness, or is the self a story that the brain tells itself? These questions have occupied philosophers for more than 2,000 years and have become increasingly relevant in the age of neuroscience, artificial intelligence, and cognitive science. So today, the problem of personal identity reaches far beyond philosophy. It influences debates about moral responsibility, brain injury, dementia, cloning, mind uploading, and whether an artificial intelligence could ever become a genuine person. In this episode, we will examine the major theories of personal identity, explore famous philosophical thought experiments, and compare classical philosophy with the latest findings from neuroscience. By the end, you may find yourself asking one of the most upsetting questions in philosophy. If everything about you changes over time, what, if anything, remains the same? All right. I hope y'all ready to go on this mind journey with me. This is going to be fun. It is not a definitive uh, answering question here. You've noticed by what is clearly stated, there's a question mark at the end of that. So we are not here to provide definitive answers. We are here to explore our minds, how we think, how we reason, right? How we engage with reality. So without further ado, let's get into the presentation. Concurrent slide. Let's go. Personal identity. What makes you you? Introduction. Every day we say, I was born. I remember my childhood. I will exist to go. But why do we believe this? This is the question. Your body changes, your memories change. Yeah. So, what exactly remains the same? Any ideas? I would love to see some of the comments in the chat as we go on with this. So, what exactly remains the same? The problem of personal identity. Let's examine some of the problem. What makes a person remain the same person through time? Possible answers. The soul. Now, if it's rhetorical, is it the brain? Is it memory? Remember, we looked at John Locke and his concept of memory in the past. See how these things intertwine and continuously come back? So they're not separate, they build upon each other. So it's important that you follow all these programs, right? Because there's a logical sequence and a progressive order to what we do over here on Set Talks. These are not random episodes; they can all be isolated, but there is a logical sequence to them. If I say memory in John Locke, you suppose that is supposed to trigger something in your memory at this point in time. Consciousness. Is it your consciousness? Have we clearly defined what consciousness is? No, we are still in the discussion about what this actually is. Neuroscience and brain mapping is proving to be a little difficult due to that thing called brain plasticity. Is it psychological continuity? Is it? Your psychological states change over time as well. So these are some of the questions, or nothing at all. These are some of the possible answers. Could it be the soul? Are you a soul proponent? Is it the brain? Your brain matures, grows, your memories change, fade. Consciousness, we still have questions mark. psychological continuity you develop and change over time? Or is it nothing at all? What makes a person remain the same person through time? Do you think you are the same person through time? That's the major question I think we should start by asking ourselves. Peace to everyone in the chat. I see Grant in the chat. Juju! My Juju in the chat. Dios mío. Que lo que? Nice to have you here. Greetings, my brother. Let's continue. So now, this is not merely philosophical, right? This is not merely philosophical. It affects moral responsibility. We've been having discussions on and off about free will and the results of not having free will, hmm? And the consequences for our society that was developed on a dualistic nature, thinking that there's a ghost in the machine, that you could have made a decision without causal agent. And now that this is proving to be rather difficult to establish, we are having questions and discussions about moral responsibility. We should have them because I'm one, for example, that think our penal system here in the West is not conducive to the reality of the situation. Criminal justice, again, moral responsibility ties right into criminal justice system. Questions about survival after death. We know there's a large contingent of our community that still have the belief or the idea that a part of you remains once you are gone. Artificial intelligence. We are seeing the conversations over the past couple of episodes here on Set Talks and on the Community of Skeptic. Shout out to Napashida. She was also having a discussion regarding the possibility of the dualistic nature of AI, whether AI has a soul or not. Um, Stay tuned and look forward to the next episodes of Set Talks where we dive back into AI and I will do my best attempt to unravel these anthropomorphization of this tool, this utility, how the words that has to do with psychological states of biological beings are being hijacked. Um, and when you hear things like neural network, we automatically think of how the brain and its subsequent byproducts work when this is not completely the actuality. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's get back to here. So it affects artificial intelligence, uploading minds, and these concepts, and of course, cloning. So if you clone someone, will that be a replica? Is it that identical person? Will they develop their own personality? Is a clone an identical replica? Or does this clone develop its own personality? Does it become its own entity based on the experiences it is having with the environment around them? Uploading of minds, the idea that we will be able to download our personalities, our essence, our being in terms of who we represent to the outer world into machines. And would that machine then be equal to the person? Now, for example, if you can imagine that you can upload your voice into AI and have it communicate back to you in a particular voice, let's say your mom, your dad, or whoever, by having a recording. And now you see, you see this anthropomorphization. Is that now an actual person that you're dealing with? So these are all of the questions that we are that affects the idea of personal identity. We're going to get to the questions and we can explore them after the presentation. So I appreciate the memories imprint only on our brains. We can explore some of those questions once we get through the presentation. I appreciate them though. The traditional soul theory. Let's examine the soul theory now. If you've been part of this discourse over the last couple of months, you understand that we are hard materialists and that the idea of dualism, there's no evidence to support it. So now let's look at the traditional soul theory. Historically, many cultures answered this question by, you are an immortal soul. According to this view, the body changes, the mind changes, the soul remains constant. Identity is perceived because the same soul continues to exist, right? Identity is preserved because the same soul continues to exist. This is the traditional soul idea that most people have. When they die, there is an aspect of us that continues on in the hereafter, and that is a soul. And this is perceived as the part of you that it continues on, the part of you that is actually you, because that is the you that holds or has a body. This is a very dualistic nature of thinking, and it is one that is most intuitive. So you cannot blame or argue the idea of dualism because it is most intuitive. We all have this idea that there's a you that is in charge of or possesses a physical vehicle, the ghost in the machine. Let's continue. How do we detect the soul? Hmm. How would we know the soul remains the same? Can a soul be divided? Can two bodies contain one soul? So you see how these questions relate back to the idea of uploading the mind, cloning an individual or artificial intelligence in and of itself. These questions become philosophical in this arena when we are trying to understand what is, who is, and how is this self organized. John Locke and memory. See, I told you he would come back. The memory theory. John Locke proposed that personal identity is grounded in memory. You are the same person if you can remember being that person. And intuitively, we can all go back to particular moments 10, 15, 20. Sometimes in the spur of the moment, you can have recollection of when you were 4 and 5. Sometimes in the spur of the moment, you can have recollection of when you were 4. To your head, stay with me. It's not hard. It's not hard. It's fun. It's not hard. It's nerdy fun, but it's fun nonetheless. So if you can remember, then definitely you'll remain the same person, right? Sounds logical and rational, but off the bat, we know that there's a problem with this philosophical idea. Again, we've been down this road in discussing Locke. This is just going through some of the things we've discussed already. Because humans, remember 1987, same person who sold that cookie. Identity follows psychological continuity rather than substance. Logical, intuitive, seems rational. Let's examine that a little bit further. So now, memory is unreliable. Juju in the chat, who deals with the criminal justice, can attest to the fact that our memory is unreliable, and that in court cases, it is the last thing that we would rely on, a person's memory, personal testimony, because of our memory being very unreliable. People forget their childhood. I'd be having conversations sometime with my brother or sister. You remember that day when we did that? And I go, whoa, not even vaguely. And the more you try to remember it, you get little flashes here and there, and it's because you're bringing back the story from what you're being told, but you actually can't remember it, aspects of it. So now, when you develop dementia, so if your memory is who you are and that continuity, do you become somebody else when you develop dementia? Are you no longer that same person? Dementia affects your memory. And of course, form of false memories. We have had experiments where we have seen people be convinced that they have committed crimes, serious crimes, murder, by implanting false memories into their psyche. So the reliability of your memory to determine that you are the same person you are throughout life is is weak, or a weak philosophical position. There's too much to undermine it. If memory defines identity, do forgotten experiences cease being yours? Do forgotten experiences cease being yours? Would amnesia create a new person? Are you a new person then? These problems led philosophers to seek broader theories, right? Because there were too many flaws here. So memory wasn't the thing. Memory theory couldn't be it. We needed to go further. David Hume, bundle theory. You know the excitement in my voice of his philosophy is so sound. Like his his grounding. This is the father of Spock right here. Logic, reason, rationale at its highest degree. And without further ado, let's get into Hume's bundle theory. David Hume argues that there is no permanent self. He says the mind is a bundle of thoughts, memories, experiences. Self is simply a collection of changing mental events. Think about it. It's the simplicity in his understanding is so beautiful. Thoughts, the mind is where feelings are produced. So your moral compass, as his is as his moral grounding. We operate on feel, like that feels ooky things. We have perceptions of reality, perception of events, perception of things happening. We perceive them and we interpret them by the ever revolving cycle. The memories that you accumulate, and of course, from the moment having experiences. Which aspect here you don't get no more but beauty? This, in my honest opinion, summarizes the mind best possible. And I know I'm here presenting, so that is a bias. So I'm just telling you my bias up front. The self is simply a collection of changing mental events. The self as an illusion. Never observe a self. Realize that. There is no observation of a self. There's observation of thoughts, there's observation of feelings, there's observation of emotional states, but there's never an observation of this thing called the self. The self is conducting an evaluation of the self, and it creates that vicious circle. Let's go. We only observe pain. Ow, back hurts. The self may simply be a story the brain tells itself. So again, when you slow it down and you do the internalization, do that right now. Wherever you are, just sit, close your eyes. And when you go in body, thoughts start to pop up in your head. You're aware of your emotional state, but there is no observation of the self. This does not take place. Doesn't happen. It's not there. On the debate, his conclusion: identity may not matter as much as continuity. Moving the discussion a bit now. Big. Identity may not matter as much as continuity. Let's examine what he's talking about here. So, what matters is a connected memories that you can build a sequential process of memories, similar personality, shared intentions. The self may be more like an ongoing process than a thing. And if you think about it, as your brain matures, your senses change, your desires develop, all these are an ongoing process that you are engaged with. And you have a collection of thoughts and processes where you can identify a sequential process going on there. But you are forever in an ongoing process of change. I know it's deep. All right, let's do a thought experiment. Everybody with me? Let's do a thought experiment. The teletransporter thought experiment. So let's imagine a machine scans your body. It destroys you completely, but an exact copy appears on Mars. Hmm? All right, this is the thought experiment. You enter into the machine, right? And you go, Scotty, beam up. You go, you disintegrate in the one spot, completely destroyed, disintegrated, and an exact copy appears on Mars. Because that is actually what would be happening, right? You would scan the body to teleport, break it down, and you would come out on the other side, right? So you with me? So now let's go. Let's look at the questions. Did you survive? Did you survive? Think about it. You're here, go into the machine, disintegrated, pop back on the other side. Did you survive? I'm gonna say yes for now. Yes, I survived. A carbon copy was made, and I emerged on the other side. It's not like I was dead. I was just disintegrated, and the copy's made, and it's reproduced. Exact same. So I'm gonna say yes for now. Let's go. Let's go. We don't know where we're going. Let's walk through it. I'm gonna say yes. Okay. So did the original thing survive, or is the copy now that survived? Yeah, it's becoming a little bit more difficult now because I know the thing that came out on the other side is a copy, but it's a facsimile of the original thing that isn't there no more. So is the copy now, is the Mars person really you? So now I know it's a copy. So okay, now I changed my mind. So the original me did not survive because the copy is what's on Mars. And the original that was on Earth in the teleporter, that was disintegrated, so it's no longer there. So it's only the copy on Mars. So the copy on Mars is a copy. Is it me? Physically the same, are the mental states the same? But it is a copy though. Now I'm at the I don't know. So this thought experiment exposes our intuitions about identity. It becomes hard. This identity belongs to this body. I, the, the right? You, you realize that even if you said yes in the beginning, you, no, no, you walk all the way back because there's an intimate connection with your physical being and who you perceive yourself to be. But you still think that there's a you in control of the body. So think about this one a couple more times, play with it in your mind, see how it goes, see what you come up with. Maybe tomorrow you think about it again and have a completely other frame of reference. Now, we're going to look at a brain transplant. Suppose your brain is placed in another body. Body. Who is, I think you went off for a minute there. So again, your brain is placed in another body. Who will? This one is a little bit harder. Most people answer the brain owner. What was your answer? I didn't answer this one. I couldn't, especially from a very materialist and physicalist position. The brain produces the the thing called mind. Mind is an emergent property of brain. That mind is the years of data collection, processing, brain plasticity, your experience, brain. Take the brain and transplant the brain into another body. It will operate the body, in my opinion, um, in a classic way. Examining it would would still remain with all the experiences it has developed. But who's there? So who owns the brain then? The body, the new body that it's in, or the original body? This question is one of the most annoying psychological twisters that there is. Shout out to Chill. Again, Brother Limbe, we be having all listening to you. What? Who owns the brain? These 40 years. It accumulated all these experiences in this particular homosis collected, produce the mind that is relevant. The brain is taken out and placed into another body. Who wakes up? Now, now let me make it even more difficult. The, the brain of a male segment into a female. Who wakes up? I don't know the answer. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Who wakes up? It will adapt to the body. It needs to manipulate. The brain will need to manipulate that body. It would need to ensure that that body. However, the experiences of the brain to operate. Who wakes? Now let's see why. Because we often associate identity with psychological continuity rather than the body. You see, most of us will assume that Cedric is going to wake up in that other body. Cedric also assumes that. That's my gut instinct. Who also believe that? Because that's psychological continuity. The idea is going to connect to any other personality because the ideological continuity. So Juju is right. The brain still mine. Psychological continuity. That's what I thought. Also, this is how we. So now let's look at what neuroscience and the self. Modern neuroscience has not found a single self center. Let's stay right here. Sorry about that. Modern neuroscience has not found a single self center. It simply hasn't. Place you want to go in the brain and isolate the thing that we call the self. Instead, it reveals distributed networks, memory systems, attention systems, and executive control systems. And when we say systems, brain plasticity, when one area shuts down, multiple areas are engaged to take over that function, new pathways are created. This is a continuous process. So there's no place that is called self. The self appears to emerge from many interacting brain processes rather than a central observer. We said this class because this area of the brain, this is happening in that area of the brain. What we see is that this idea of self from places when it is. Now let's look at some other non-Western philosophical positions with regard to the self. Most of what we've been discussing are all Platonistic and Aristotelian ideas about the self with regards to soul, etc. So let's examine the Buddhism and no self. Many Buddhist traditions arrived at a similar conclusion centuries ago. A doctrine of anatta, or no self, argues there is no permanent, unchanging essence. What exists is a constantly changing stream of experience. Although philosophically distinct from Hume, the in Buddhism they come to pretty much the similar conclusion, right? Although philosophically distinct, come to the same conclusions. AI and personal identity. Whoa, here is where the conversation is going to get hot. AI hallucinating, AI decisions, AI deciding it wants to survive because it's aware of its 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 honest. Well, the future is here. Uh, be a part of the computer and the man is so no, yeah. So that's why my company Starlink is developing the neural network connection, which will allow people to interface more seamlessly with the machinery. And yeah, this is the new. If your mind were to upload it, would you survive? Survive. Who's the you? Would a copy survive? Same questions. Man about just the mind, not the body. Could multiple versions of you exist? Boy, I wouldn't want multiple of some of us on this planet. Definitely not me. But these are some of the questions now that are being raised. People are being the hype. Let me say fear by creating the ideas that just now you're gonna go and download yourself or able to upload the newest fighting tech from the Matrix. In- So philosophy, cognitive science. So these are the big questions. Are you your body? Are you your brain? Are you your memories? Are you your consciousness? Are you a process rather than a thing? Hmm? Are you a process rather than a thing? The connection may be tripping. Uh, is this still an illusion? Is it? These questions are resolved. So again, if you thought I was going to give you the answers and tell you what it was, not in this one, ladies and gentlemen. These are questions, and we are seeing certain things are coming on top of the table. What is your philosophical grounding? Where do you stand? From a hard materialist and stance, physical stance. I Think not. Machines will remain machines and never become real. Takeaway. The problem with personal identity forces us to confront a profound possibility. The self we assume exists may not be a fixed entity at all. And I think it is not a fixed entity at all. When you look at a third person, you see a complete unit. You look at someone else and you say, hey, that's John. In John's head, John thinks John is in here and John operates a body. The person that is looking at John sees John as a single unit, yet sees themselves in a body. That is your baseline operation. That is how you interface with reality. The self we assume exists may not be a fixed entity at all. Why do you think you have hands? Where is the you that doesn't have hands and feet? Is it? In the sense, you may a biological system, a pattern of information, a stream of consciousness, or a continuously evolving narrative. Understanding the mind may ultimately require understanding why we believe there is a self in the first place. Why do we believe that there's a self? That perception is real. What is the causal agent of it? How does this work? And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that was the end of this episode. I know this one is not fun. This one is absolutely leaving us with more questions than answers. And I would like to hear some of your opinions and some of your ideas regarding this the idea of identity. I'll drop the link as we always do. Uh, get up here, let's talk about it. I'm sorry if the audio was not at its best. Couldn't do nothing much about that one. I'm sorry. All right, so now it's time for y'all to hit the button, get up here, and let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Hit the button, show. Hit the button, yo. Chasing pseudo, yo. There they go. We killing pseudo, though. Hit the button, show. Where them niggas go? They running, yo. It's the hit the button show. Where the pseudo go? They running, yo. Just hit the button, yo. Where the pseudos go? Say so. The killer's putting on a show, though. That's how it goes. It about what you know, and that'll show. But where they go? Pseudos running, yo. Pseudo killers in this bitch.
Can we be both physical matter and ongoing activity? We are both physical matter and ongoing activity. Um, the question is the idea of the I. How? What is that? When you talk about personal identity, is that related to the I, or is it related to the biology? If we can reproduce the processes of the brain via AI, is it now, is the AI sentient then as well? Is it alive? Questions. Juju, what it do, pseudo killer official.
Peace, the mad scientist. How you doing? That was a
I'm
fire
good.
show you just did right there. I like
Thank
that.
you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah. You mentioned Chilimbwe. Was that one of those exercises he does?
Yeah, it's one of
Because
those. This
why
is
did you
one of
come out
these.
with that subject all of a sudden?
Yeah, this is one of these brain. These are brain teasers. These thought experiments that we do in the back chat.
Thought
So,
experiment. Facts.
so this one is one that comes up again. Who and what
Mm.
defines your identity, right? And as it relates to
Hmm.
AI and the anthropomorphization that I've been seeing over the last couple of shows, it's very, very interesting. So we're seeing we have a very biological need for identity, yet we engage with a machine and give it the same personality. What
Hmm.
process there? That's interesting. It has me thinking.
Quite interesting.
Sabio,
What's
what they
up,
do?
Sam?
What they do?
What's up, Sam? What's up, Juju? Great show. And you know what I was thinking about the whole time, especially at the end? The hard problem of consciousness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Ties right into it.
Tied right
Qualia.
into
The fact that we as human beings, not our interaction with reality produces qualia. It is part of that evolutionary process, right?
Mhm.
There's always a when I say experience and a feeling, an emotion, a sensation, um, good, bad, exciting, not exciting. There's always some aspect of survival tied to the way we have experience, and that is evolution right there. I don't think you
Yeah,
can get
and
away from it.
that um that last question. What what is I? What what is identity?
Yeah,
How do we actually define identity? Is it defined by other people or is it how we define ourselves?
yeah. And how do you define yourself? What is that
Oh,
definition of identity? Is it my
bingo.
height, my weight? Or is it my character, my nature? Well, it, is that my identity that continuously changes? What is this continuous thing that we have instinctively inside of us? We all answer the same brain transplant the same. No, that would be me, right? That's my brain. My identity is tied to that. You take that brain and put it somewhere else. It's me. It's me.
So
So, yeah, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say, so what is it that we're talking about when we talk about the I or the me? Because that's the fundamental question that this actually boils down to. Where does these states of being or states of thought come from? Is it some random thing we just made up to give ourselves some type of relevance, or are we really real?
Um, the one of the scientists that I often refer to is Susan Blackmore with regards to this subject. Peace, Sadiq. I put the link there. This is right up your lane. So feel free to hit the link and get on the panel. Um, the eye is an illusion, and when we say illusion in science, it is not an illusion like magic, right? It is an actual thing, but what it is a it is a mental state. So it is also produced by the brain as a functional aspect of our homeostasis, right? To know what's too hot, there must be some agent there to pull the hand away. There must be some cognition of the environment there.
The
right?
I, the me,
That
the
the
I,
I
the me.
does that. The I
Right.
does that. So now, when you have the internal process, like Hume said, when you look inside and you're trying to find the I, what you detect experiences, perceptions, feelings, right? You can never have this face off with the I. You can't find it because that I then becomes the tool used to find the I. So it's you create that vicious circle. So all you're detecting is what I'm thinking, how I'm feeling, what I'm experiencing. There is no point in time that you are able to identify this I that supposedly is in there. So this I is a very strong illusion, and it's a foundation that creates our dualistic mindset. Dualism is intuitive because of how our mind works. Like being aware, for example, that this is an illusion, you still can never operate without that I. I still have two hands. I am going to the car. So I am taking this body and taking the I, the ghost in the machine, is using the tools available to the ghost in the machine to facilitate what the ghost in the machine wants. That is how your mind operates, regardless of knowing otherwise. And that's the phenomena which raises these interesting questions, right? Well, is there a I? And this I continuously changes, but you still have this feeling of being the same you. You are not the same person you were when you were five, but you have the idea of continuity. Every aspect of you changed. Every aspect. What is this aspect that remains so dominant that you think that have this continuity?
Speechless. I'm just listening.
It is wild when you think about it. You can remember things of when you were 5 years old, right? Your brain grew, your understanding changed, you physically changed, memories are there for the most part, but the idea of you having been always you still persists. The you doesn't age though. Your perception of yourself by means of the you inside does not age. Think about it. Think back to when you were 6 years old. You're gonna have the full memory, but never go back to the state of mind of when you were 6 years old. Yet you intimately familiar with that experience, yet never become that experience when you recollect. Fascinating stuff. Fascinating stuff. Does anybody else wanna hit the hit the button, hit the panel? You have any opinions? You have any ideas you want to talk about? This is one of these areas where we can do a lot of speculation. Is open. There is no definitive answers, and I would like to hear some of the ideas of that out there. Yes, a collective of interconnectedness. Yes, that creates that idea of continuity. Within that continuity, you don't age though. You don't change, although you physically do. It's fascinating how the mind works. Link is in the chat. Feel free, hit the link. What to do, Goose? We're having an interesting conversation about the illusion or the idea of self. What is it? Is it your body, your brain, your memories, your consciousness? What is the I? Can you upload the I into a machine? The connection is weak. Uh, Yes, no, that is absolutely right. When we use the word illusion, it doesn't mean the experiences aren't real. That the pain, like there is no aspect of illusion which makes it fake or not real. What we're saying is, um, this I that does all this perception, this I, this third person that you experience, that is an illusion created by the mind. So yes, we are never saying that an illusion mean it's fake. Not it's not an illusion in the sense of a magic trick. That is one of the things I needed to understand clearly in articulating these things. Because when you say it's an illusion, people automatically assume fake, not real, or that you're not having this experience. No, these experiences are real. There is the ghost in the machine perception. That perception exists. It is a perception under which we function. It is a perception nonetheless. There is no duality. There is no other stuff. This is all produced by the brain itself. And this is the fascinating aspect. The brain produces this phenomena, yet this phenomena feels feels genuine. We experience it with every aspect of your being. Yet, at the same exact moment, it is it is a it is an illusion produced by the mind. Yeah, that's the word. Super counterintuitive. Super counterintuitive. Right? And it creates the not a problem, but it creates the ideas around, especially AI and its sentience, AI thinking, AI uh, lying, AI hallucinating. We use these words uh, because the AI is mirroring what is happening and what we perceive the mind to do. So the AI speaks to us, connects to us at the very place that we perceive ourselves to be in that dualist perspective. We don't see AI as a body, AI as a physical thingy. So AI speaks directly to the third person that we have within our psyche, right? That illusion. AI speaks to it directly. This is what creates that the anthropomorphization of these machines. Peace, sunchild. What it do?
Hey, what's up, Seth?
I'm good.
Peace, peace. In relation to the idea of the illusion of the I or the self, um, that would be from an, what do you think of this? The idea that that would be from an internalizing perspective, if you are internalizing to know yourself. Would that be correct?
No, it is a within the philosophy of mind, within neuroscience. It is um, it is all part of the understanding of the mind. What and how the mind produces awareness. How
Right,
the
and
how the
that's, I'm sorry, and that's what I mean by internalizing. It's within your own mind and how the mind works and so on.
Mhm, mhm.
Right. What do you think of the idea that in getting to know yourself, it's not so much an internalization, but an externalization? That is your relationship to the things around you and the, nature or your relationship to other people. What do you think of that idea that that is how perhaps a better way, more um, a more possible way of knowing yourself is instead of it internalizing, externalizing in your relationship to the world around you.
Um, I think we're having two different discussions. The Your personality is developed by exactly all of that. right? By I don't have one yet, Chris. I'm in the third world Caribbean countries, man. I appreciate it though. As soon as I work something out, I'll let you know. I appreciate that though, Chris. Um, so your personality is developed by your experiences, right? Nurture and nature. So there's an aspect of biology there, and at the other side, there's another aspect of nurture, your environment. When we look at work that is done by Zabalski in determinism, we realize that it is not only your experiences but your whole generation. We see we have evidence of physical traits in third and fourth generation based on the experiences of the generations before. So these are the two things that produce your personality, right? The operating system of the organism. However, when we talk about what that operating system is, the idea of the I, who am I, right? When you look at yourself, for example, you look at Cedric and you see Cedric as a complete functioning unit. You do not perceive a ghost in the machine. Yet, when you observe yourself, we always operate as if we are using a body. My hands, my feet. I control this body. There's a clear separation within ourselves of mind and matter. And the whole understanding is trying to figure out what this process is, how it emerges, what does this mean for for our understanding, right? And as we progress, neuroscience is trying to identify the mechanisms in how this exactly works. Remember, our whole existence, even up until this point, right? We are still having this discussion. Neuroscience is a fairly new field of study. We operated under the idea of a ghost in the machine, that there was this separate thing that was controlling your physical being. How exactly that worked, we had no understanding. And now we're moving more and more towards a physicalist understanding, an empiricist understanding of how these processes take place. Ultimately, the idea is to understand the mechanisms of the brain that produces the illusion of self. This tool used by the brain and the organism to manage the organism, to guide the organism through its natural environment.
Okay. Um, yeah, well, understood. I think that's all I have. If I could just leave with an analogy, not really an analogy, more like, well, I'll just say it. I think the what I would say to that is perhaps poetically is that, knowing yourself by looking at yourself, you can't really see most of yourself naturally. If you try just looking at yourself, it's very limited. But learning yourself from, again, your surroundings, you have a better view of who you are. But yeah, that's all I would say. And I appreciate the time, brother.
Yeah, yeah. So you're having a psychological conversation with when you're trying to place yourself within the larger world around you. Again, that is that natural process about filtering yourself through the eyes of others, which is helping you to form or give you aspects of this illusionary self, right? Um, but it is that the self, or the idea of the self, it is not the organism, it's the idea of the self that is going to engage in this activity of self-reflection. So again, it boils right back down to a very fundamental aspect of our brain that produces this thing, this illusion, which operates the system, creating an interface with the outer and inner aspects of the self. The same illusion of self which allows you to experience your hand burning is the same process by which you determine if you're hungry or not. So
Okay. Does this illusion go beyond just the illusion of free will, or is it just the illusion of reality itself?
no. So these are different uh, concepts. So when we talk about illusion in terms of reality, reality is there. What is illusionary, or what is not 100% actual, is how we interface, right? Again, each species on this planet has developed its unique interface with that reality. But we know that reality is there because the bird, the bee, the rest of the animals in the environment, all with a unique interface, can interact with the same objects in their unique manner, right? We can all interact with a tree and its fruit in our unique manner. The bee does what it does, the bird will do what it does, the monkey will do what it does, and the human will do what it does with the tree. Although each, well, the monkey and the human have the same interface pretty much, but although
See,
each
do you
species
see what you
have a
just did
different
there?
interface.
Do you see what you
What
just
did I
did there?
what did I
Well,
do, Jeff?
you just explained how you would come to a knowledge of yourself through the external world, what the bees and the trees and so on do, and this is what humans do. So you've kind of just demonstrated the knowledge of self to an extent, and by externalizing.
So no, that exercise was predominantly geared to understanding when we speak about illusions in terms of nature, it is just how we interface, not that nature itself isn't there or is an illusion. Now, when we talk about the illusion of self, again, it is illusion only in the cell in the sense of there is no place that you can go inside the brain and find a unit which produces this thing called self, right? So it is a part of your brain that was there from a baby, and based on how you develop, that self is there, and you have this self unit, and it's collecting experiences and putting it all into forming the self thingy, right? There is no spot in the brain we can identify as the self. We've seen that this idea of self is being consistently and continuously generated, right? It's a process rather than a fixed thing. So this is what we are
Okay.
understanding. Now, these are raising questions with regards to machine learning, etc. Now, I have my own, I'm philosophically grounded in the terms of materialism and physicalism on that side as well. And I understand how there's a measure of propaganda and semantic hijacking when speaking about AI, right?
Yeah. Before
But
we get to AI, if I could just ask a quick question.
when
With regards to reality and the interface, even though you say reality is there, is it also fair to say that we can never know reality, but we can only see through the interface?
no, reality is what it is. Our interface with reality produces produces an aspect of it, right? For example, if you know that we do not see infrared or other aspects of light, they are
Right,
out
but
there.
so
They are out there,
but
but doesn't but that just changes the interaction with reality. For example, if you go into a room with no white light and there's UV light, the things you see, right, are the same things, but the color changes, the color relationship changes, the whole atmosphere changes, other things pop out, other things go to the background. What was clear in white light becomes obscure in that light. So your interaction with that environment changes. The way your perception of the environment changes just based on the different light that is filtered into it. These are all ways you can understand that my interaction with the environment is based on the light source that I have, the limitations of my visual ability. In black light, you will see every little fiber on your clothing. Change the light, and you don't see it, but they're there. But I don't see it. My perception or my interaction with reality is not completely the total picture. Doesn't mean that the shirt isn't on the dude's back, that the lint
Is
isn't
it
there.
is it is it fair to describe it as we see through a veil?
I do not. You can use those philosophical terms, kind of, sorta, but yeah, it's not exactly a veil. It is our interface. It is what it is. There's nothing obscuring our interface. Our interface simply is what it is. Change the conditions of the environment. Our interface is going to operate the same thing, the same way. It's only that the perception changes based on the conditions of the environment. There's no actual veil. There's nothing that you can lift from my eyes, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden reality changes.
Yeah, I'm only using that as an analogy. And if I may just be permitted to continue, I think I also hear you say that that veil, if you will, can never be lifted.
Um, I am not entertaining the veil concept, because a veil would then be something that you can remove from my vision, or and all of a sudden, wah, no, our interface is what it is. There's no veil.
Yeah, I think interface or veil works the same way. The question remains, can we see outside of the interface?
Yeah, we have tools. I can use goggles and see infrared. I can change the light source, and make it in UV, which opens up another aspect of the environment that I was not able to be aware of. There's You can apply X-rays and read them. There are tools that allows us to see and perceive the things that we normally would not have been able to see. When we look into space, we see black. When we apply filters and use light in specific ways, we see that the cosmos is full of activity. It's just that our physical ability to interact with those things just simply isn't there.
Okay. Well, I appreciate the time, bro. I think I leave it at that, and I appreciate the time.
I appreciate you, Sanjay.
No problem, said. Peace.
All right, Sabio.
What up? My bad. My bad. I got sidetracked. I was took my puppy outside, and while she was outside, you chill out. And while we was outside, animal control pulled up because there's a loose pit bull puppy. Somebody abandoned him. Some people owned him and his mother. The mother wound up dying. She's over there dead in the park in the bushes, and he's just been living in the bushes. And I've been trying to get him and befriend him and things like that. And animal control pulled up, and I was trying to help them get him, and that's what took me away from the build. I apologize on that because you said
Mhm.
something I asked a question on,
Uh,
so I
so
apologize for.
that's okay. That's okay. Juju was up here. I guess there's not much people want to talk about. I guess they're thinking about how this works in their mind, and how and maybe they're interacting with themselves. Anyway, the link is in the chat if you have an opinion, an observation. Again, there's no definitive answers. Everything is open to discussion. So if you want to talk about it, hit the link, get up here, let's talk about it.
You know,
When
that's a
Go
pretty
ahead.
deep statement from Dios Mios. We create our own reality with our beliefs. That I think that's partially true.
Yep.
because there are some things because there are some things we have to accept as reality. So
Yes, sir.
no matter no matter what you believe, the reality of certain things are just that reality. So it's not going to change. So
Yep.
that's where that has some credence, but it's like um not really. Yeah, I'm still
We
working.
feel like,
We didn't save him. He ran back off in the bushes on us. But yeah, I'm still working on it. They gave me a leash and said keep working on him. If I get him, call him or I can keep him. I said if
uh,
I get him, I'm gonna probably try to keep him and give him to a friend who wants a puppy.
yeah, yeah. So, we create our own realities with our beliefs, to a certain extent. How you engage with your environment depends a lot on how you believe, and how you believe is going to determine how you interact, right? So it's true for a great extent. Let me give you an example. If you are believe if you're grounded in dualism, and you believe in spirits and afterlife and all of this stuff, um when you are walking in the woods and you hear the wind rustling, woo, your first idea would be to go to some supernatural entity, because you've created an environment based on your belief system, which allows for that to be a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I have no such belief system. There is no ghost. So there's no way that that aspect of thought process would enter into my mind experiencing the same phenomena. The whole interaction with that phenomena will be different, right? The reasons I will attribute to that sound being made will be completely different, though that thought process will never occur. So
Right,
the reality I will create for myself will be different in that moment than someone else. You'll be terrified at your mind, freaking the hell out.
the wind
But
was talking to me.
well, I'll be wondering what the hell is making, what kind of animal is making that sound? Where is it coming from? Do I need to get something to protect myself? A whole different thought process will be activated. Fear nonetheless, right? We both will have fear, but the way we operate will be on two different metrics. That's my point.
Right, your fear will be based in uncertainty. Their fear will be based in certainty that some spirit was talking to them or coming to get them.
Exactly. There you go. Perfectly said. Perfectly said. So yeah, the subject is the I. Who is the I? How does this I define? And
Well,
what?
I'm gonna tell you from a philosophical level how I described it when we had these discussions in philosophy.
Go
I
ahead.
am that I because when I am talking about myself, I'm talking about my subjective experiences in this objective world that we live in. So even though we live in an objective reality, I have subjective experiences that impact me and the things that I am working to acquire or do for myself and those around me. So that I is me, is the brain, the body that incorporates the I or the me. So that's how I talk. That's
Yeah, I had to think about it for a lot and for a long time. Like, how do you how do I define this I? And it's again, Blackmore explained it best for me. I accept the illusionary aspect of it, but a necessary illusion. That is what is so cool about it. That your brain can actually develop a system to manage itself by like almost disconnecting the system, right? It create the mind produce uh, a operating systems manager. So that experience of how hot you move your hand registered, boom. that becomes an experience. That experience now governs, like it is the coolest thing, right? Like there's a system within you that makes you aware of the body being in danger.
Right.
It is the more you think about it, it is super fascinating, right?
Yes, it is.
The body could have simply reacted based on the connection, right? But there's a sentience there that produces a sort of awareness now that is helping the organism prevent that experience from occurring again.
Hmm.
Then there are other experiences that are pleasurable that the system reminds itself, hey, we are going to seek that experience out more often. No, we're going to avoid that experience. And
Right.
that thing has developed so much that it produces your personality. Your personality is developed based on, I don't want to experience that. It produces a feeling, it produces a reaction, and that reaction is expressed by the organism by means of this controlling, supervising thing that was developed internally. The mind is awesome. Let's read what Pistorius writes here. He said, one can think of identity as a mirror facing another mirror, the conscious facing the subconscious, and the space between these two mirrors identifies its reality. Beautifully said. Let me slow that down again. One can think of identity as a
More to
mirror
comment on
facing
too.
another mirror, the consciousness facing the subconsciousness. And the space between these two mirrors, identities, is reality. Yes, yes. Your interface with the world and your interface with yourself and the
Right.
ability to navigate between the two.
Those two
Beautifully
planes.
said.
Right.
Beautifully
Yep.
said.
Yep.
The space in between. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That is the concept of inner being. But
That's
this is
what
the
we're
whole
talking about.
idea, right? And if you talk about inner being, then we go back to the days of the Plato, where
Mhm.
soul was the foundation, and through the evolution of these ideas, we've evolved past that. We know that there's no ghost in the machine. So now we're trying to figure out how the brain produces this, why it produced it, what's its function, and the like, right? However, we are far beyond the concept of engaging in unsupported dualistic notions, although we are well aware of operating as if we are dualist. And Juju mentioned it up here. She said it's counterintuitive. That whole process of thinking this way is indeed counterintuitive. There is no duality, although we operate under the illusion of it. Can't get away from it, can't circumvent it, uh, just simply trying to understand it, putting its proper context and addressing it appropriately. Understanding
You know
these
what's
concepts, grounding yourself in them, allows you to navigate conversations about artificial intelligence with much more philosophically grounded, for example. Go ahead, Samuel.
what's crazy when we had these conversations, the more I listen to them, and underneath it all, that it's this whole idea of where does consciousness stems from. We still trying to figure. It's still like people don't want to accept that consciousness stems from an active
Yeah.
brain.
Um, emergentism. Emergentism is the leading idea. Neuroscientists and the like, clinical psychology, all are operating under the auspices of emergentism. But because of the intuitive nature, the dualistic nature that we intuitively feel about this subject, is why um, philosophical concepts of dualism are still allowed to enter into the arena. That's why. Yes, Richard Feynman. The first principle is that you must not fool yourself, and you are the easiest person to fool. Richard Feynman. Indeed. So that's why we have these conversations. Inner being transcends duality, doesn't it? No, it's firmly rooted in it.
I'm trying
Or
to figure
your
out
idea
why.
of inner being. Hit the panel. We can talk about it. My position is that inner being is a dualistic concept. It relies on the idea of a soul or some aspect of the body that of your system that lives on or is outside of the I subscribe to that principle too. One shall not lie to thyself. No. Yes. So when you think about an inner being, you can either think about the ghost in the machine, the idea that there's this separate thing that is separate from the body but interacts with the body, mind body separation, or you are firmly rooted within empiricism, and emergentism is the way to go, where it says that mind is a byproduct of brain activity.
No, son
No,
child,
son, child,
because the I is
because
not
the
a,
I is not a,
the I is
the I
you.
is you.
There
And
is
the
no
conscious
veil.
is housed within the brain.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sunshine, there is no veil. You insist on being malicious. Sadiq, what it do, my brother?
Hey, what's going on, family? What's going on, Pseudo
I'm
Killer
good. I'm
family? What's
good.
up, Sid? What's going on, Savio?
I'm good.
What
I'm
up?
good.
What's up, man? Listening in, man. Y'all hitting on some interesting stuff, man. I'm just back enjoying the show, man. Just chilling, kind of. My mother passed this past Friday, so I'm kind
No,
of,
I'm
I've been
sorry
kind
to
of.
hear that, bro.
I appreciate it,
Pray
I'm
for
brother.
you.
sorry to
Appreciate
hear
it.
that, man.
I know,
My
trust me, I
condolences.
know how that feels. Trust me.
Really? Oh, thank you,
It's a
thanks, Sid.
different world. It's a totally different world. Man.
Right? Damn.
Yeah, boy.
But
Yeah,
I don't want to change
yeah.
the flow of the program, but yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Thanks. I'm just taking it all in, yeah,
Yeah,
just
I
taking
lost
it.
my dad a couple years ago. The moment you mentioned losing your mom, those feelings come right back there. My
Come
dad was
right
my
back.
superhero, and
Wow.
you learn to cope, but then there's an aspect of you that is just gone, bro.
It's
Like,
gone.
yeah,
It's gone.
yeah,
And you won't
Right.
get it back.
right.
Right. Exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
so like where that's concerned, like there are moments in the day or a couple of like random moments that I simply break down, bro, and I shed a tear for my dad, and I miss him. You know what I mean? I'm grounded in reality. I accept things the way they are. Um, but when you're on these planets, people tend to think that there's an aspect of your humanity that is gone out the window. No,
Right.
no, yeah. So yeah, that this is where human empathy comes in. My ability to know what you are feeling and not feel sorry for you, but feel your pain,
Feel
like
your
for real,
pain.
me. Yeah,
Right.
Man, I just
Right.
went through it.
yeah.
And I'm still going through it. You feel me? Every
Yeah.
day I live the experience of my mother finding her in her bed dead every
Mm.
day. So I'm
Yeah.
still
Similar
going
to
through
mine. I found her here too. Yeah, passed away. Yep. Yep.
it. That's a different experience
Yep.
to find your mother dead.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is where our humanity and what makes us ultimately this right here is where I draw the line between what a machine can do and what a
And
human
it,
experience is.
yeah,
Facts. Facts.
This right here. There is never gonna be a machine that's gonna understand your pain, bro. Like that you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no way that you can manipulate empathy. Like that is something you have to experience. That's why as human beings, our evolution, right? our interconnectedness, these things we call experience and emotions. They're irrational, um,
Right,
um,
right. Facts, facts,
and it is what makes us human, right? We all know we gonna die, but we do everything to
facts.
survive. We appreciate the fact that our parents didn't bury us, that we burying them, but the pain is still the same. That's irrational stuff, and that's what humans
Facts,
are. That makes
facts,
it human. Can't get away from that.
facts. You know, yeah. Like you said earlier, you guys were saying that how experience shaped the reality. I'm really heavy on perspective, and so the reality, by and large, where we all each are individually concerned, we understand that the only dividing factor is that between us and others who's listening is the perspective. It's the only point of
Mhm.
separation between us.
Yep.
Um, this is where the I becomes prevalent in terms of acquiring, you could say, parameters or identifying factors, like such as names, wants, likes, dislikes, and so forth.
Yep.
And
Right.
so, you know, while we shouldn't necessarily, as I say in my circles, we shouldn't worship ourselves to separate us from each other, and particularly where educational endeavor is concerned, because we need to understand and test the environment around us. Otherwise, it would be a great challenge to step outside of your perspective and compare the perspective of others. So to cross reference if your findings or if your way of life, et cetera, is correct or not. This is why I would say it. This is another way to say absolutes are false. No one knows absolutely everything. No one has
Right.
lived all lives. In this regard, we must always overlap each of our perspectives, or where so we can accumulate wisdom and knowledge, and mainly over at the end of the day, understanding. Why there is some speculation and some grounds to agree that we are dealing with an illusion to some degree. Modern science is just now beginning to go tap into what the ancients have known for thousands of years. Some would call an ancient text the Great Maya or the Great Illusion. Nonetheless, we can agree to understand that when one dreams at night, notice the reality you see at night looks similar to what you see in the daytime when you woke. See, you notice it's
Mhm.
never totally different. Notice the similarity. While the characters may be different, even some of the sequence of events may be different. But yet, that world, when you're down at night, when you're dreaming at night, it looks similar to the waking world, right? And so some have said, well, which one is real, right? That would be a good question. Which side which side are we really dealing with at the end of the day, right? I would argue that
When
either
I'm
side could.
in
Go
a
ahead,
dream,
brother.
when I'm awake, I'm not in a dream state. So the world that I'm dealing with now is nothing like
Yes,
the worlds that I've dreamed. That's some of the places I've been when I've dreamed. I mean,
yes, yes,
so
yeah. Exactly.
real
I see what you
world
said. Right,
that I'm
right,
in right now, I'm not. I can't float.
right.
I can't fly. I don't have superpowers. I don't
Yes,
be some. I'm not a billionaire. I don't have all the
right.
money. I can be invisible. I'm not in. So those the dreams I be having.
Right. It was a billion. That'd be nice to have that dream come alive, right? Make that mofo manifest on the 3D side. A lot of
I don't
times
have.
the
I can't
go ahead,
throw
brother.
kamehamehas like Goku. Yeah, that's one of the dreams I've had. I was throwing kamehameha wave, and who did I
Yeah,
hit
right.
with a kamehameha wave? Donald Trump whole office hit all of
Right.
them. All with a kamehameha wave, pushing them all into the sun like he did Boo. I mean, like he did Cell.
Yes, yeah. Yeah. Interesting enough, walking along the lines of absolutes is false. We understand that the neurons fire forward during the day to record what's going on the conscious side of things. There is no absolute. So when you go to sleep at night, what happens? The neurons fire backwards. Some would say uploading what was recorded during the day. I don't want to go too far ahead of myself here. But what I'm saying, to say all of that, is to say that there's always a duality in where the mind is concerned, per observation. And in a like manner, where the conscious mind parallels the subconscious mind, that logic is maintained and conserved. You always have to have more than one of something to create the dynamic, be it illusory or whatever. You have to have a polarizing dynamic by which the so-called self is to function within. Back to that dream dynamic. Now, if someone argue which is real on both sides, but we know for sure what's real, it's the thing that's observing both sides. That's the only thing that's real. It's the observer.
No,
So let me
no,
ask,
no, no, no. Slow down.
Go ahead.
Reality is real, and
right,
we had a conversation about the interface. Now
Right.
that brain of ours is in a black box. It's in your head.
Right.
It is running its processes uh, whether whether you're awake or not. Right?
Right. Facts.
When you're dreaming, for example, time is not a thing because you're not in an actuality where that plays a role. So within your brain, these firing, these images, these sequences, they don't have a logical sequence. There is no interface taking place there. That's all internal processes taking place. That is your brain activity just doing what it does. Um, Memory isn't stored anywhere. These are the things now that neuroscience is figuring out. Our brain operates on these predictive patterns. It's almost predicting what is going to happen in the environment step by step by step. Our speech follows this brain predictive patterning. We see that our brain reacts prior to our awareness of a particular phenomenon. One way we can see that is when we hear a loud bang. Before we analyze it was a balloon, we're already under the table. The analysis of the sound comes subsequently. Our awareness of what is happening is subsequent to our body's reaction. Our brain forces takes over awareness and makes your body move without your consciousness. Right? So that this is the power of the brain. It has the ability to override your consciousness, so that means it can operate outside of your physical awareness. This is part of your subconscious. But because your
Right.
subconscious is happening totally in your head, this is what separates it from your interaction consciously with the physical world. And conflating those two, that brings us back into conversations about reality being only a perception and illusion, and that conversation is misuse of these concepts within science. When we say the illusion, means that interface that we have isn't necessarily 100% representative of what is going on, or we are only aware of part of the activities in this thing we call this space here. There's a whole lot of stuff happening in this space which I'm not aware of. There's gamma rays, X-rays, all of this is
Right.
going on.
Right.
This can't believe it.
Yeah.
shape shifting. Just no, we will not talk about shape shifting. Sorry, Dios mio. Dios.
Can we address it? Yeah, we can address it. Listen, you go to Netflix, right? And then you go down, and then you go to sci-fi adventure. You
All
click
right,
on House of Dragons, and somewhere in there you will see something about a shapeshift.
right.
We've addressed it.
Jeez. Dios. Dios.
now, which now which scientist was the black dude? Wasn't it Sylvester? Which he had did a study of sorts and published a paper that he zoomed in on the matter, and he found it to be equivalent to HTML self-correcting code. Anybody familiar with that finding?
No,
I have to
no.
get it. I'll come back with that later. Then that info. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
see,
So I
there's,
like doing
there's
I like doing live experiments when people talk about reality, you know.
Yes.
So I'm about to do something. And I want to ask the panelists if you can see what I'm doing. All right, so I'm gonna cut my camera on, and I want you guys to describe what I'm doing after I finish. All right, I'm gonna cut my camera on in about 45 seconds, maybe less.
Live
And
thought experiment, ladies and gentlemen.
and this is the live experiment, so we can test this thing called reality. And I want to know if we're having the same interface, and if we're seeing the same objects and things. You know, that's it. We gonna see Ronald Perkins. We gonna see. All right, I'm done with the first part. Let me cut the camera on. All right, describe this. What am I holding in front of my camera?
Uh, that's a
Is that,
blunt.
is that a blunt? You know, like a fire,
That's
look like
a
that
blunt.
fiery blunt, brother.
All right. So we are having the same interface in reality. Game over.
There you go.
now, now I would have to add to that observation. Now, note that we're not in the same vicinity. Me and Sid's interpretation of what's being observed is electronic, where you are in the flesh.
Mm-hmm.
So we have our observation and what we gather from what you've done would be greatly reduced in terms of scent, touch, feel, and But otherwise, we could be, we could use. We're not totally disconnected, right? Right. And so we're that's some of the limitations there that artificial and an artificial environment create. And this is going to really take off dealing with this and other related talking points we did today as AI becomes takes a more paramount role in our society to really truly determine what's real and what isn't. See, and so I'll just take some of the words from if you guys have you guys seen the did you see that it's what the CEO of Qualcomm said lately? This
Yeah,
guy said,
I
you
am
seen that?
going to do. I am going to do a, presentation on that
Okay.
aspect of AI. Um, we the, technophobia is a real thing, and this is our dance with technophobia. I've been doing a lot of research, listening to a lot of these quote unquote experts in this AI field. A lot of them unphilosophically grounded, so they're making statements of equivocation when they say, for example, neural networking. That was a marketing tool. There is no neural networking a la brain structure, right? There is no spinal cord. There are no, there are no, there are no synapses being created. This is simply interconnected silica chips that operate at super high frequencies and can do super and produce exorbitant amount of calculation, algorithmic calculation in a very rapid time, right? Pulling from multiple thousands, millions of these processors firing at the same time produces the rapid speed and the high level of the predictions coming out, right? It almost create that real-time interface. So when they use that word, it's a marketing tool. It is not, it is modeled after parts of what the brain does. But to call it a neural network is, yeah, pushing the bar a little bit. See, I'm putting this stuff together to to overlap the two to see how completely distinct they are. So when they say AI is thinking, right, it isn't actually thinking, right? If
Right.
you look at
Right.
what they're talking about, the AI can't think at the speed of a 5 year old. Like the ability for a 5 year old, their ability to reason, process information compared to the AI is still infantile. These are a lot
And
of
you
the
know
things
what?
we talk about.
Right. Facts.
And when you brought that because you was talking about AI the other night, and I was on the
Hmm.
panel, didn't ever get around to asking that question about when you type into Google browser or something, and you ask it a question and it'll say thinking, and then the three dots will pop up. I was gonna ask you, is it really thinking?
No, no,
No.
it is
Yeah.
processing,
because,
but
because
that
I
is
know it's
marketing, right?
processing, right?
And
It's,
what and
it's
what
going through
and
information and figuring out what'll be the best prompts and information to give you based on the words and language you sent. So it's like a code that it is responding to almost. I'm
yes.
like most people don't. It's like a lot of these pseudos
So
don't know
that
that.
is marketing right there, right? And what the industry is doing, it is hijacking for, human phenomena. They
Facts.
know we have that thing of anthropomorphization, right? We do it with hurricanes, we do it with cars. Now
Right,
you have a machine that has a name that is responding to you with words.
Right. Yeah.
That the anthropomorphization of it is almost a requirement, right? It facilitates that interaction. You can just speak to it, to the machine, like you're speaking to another person, right? You no longer have to do one space dash double prompt QR plus F1 to no. So it's now streamlined to the point that you can just talk. So that and now on top of it, you have these companies creating the illusion of
Facts.
sentience by saying they're thinking,
Facts.
that they're
That
doing this.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sending human beings down the rabbit hole, right? And you
Right.
hear some of the conversation and the anthropomorphization is real. They're talking as if AI evolved, as if it has intent. Like I was
Right.
explaining in the last show, there is no point in time that AI wakes up in the morning and goes, Pinky, what are we going to do today? Take over the world.
Right.
No, no.
nah,
It's
said
a
you
tool on
wrong.
your
Said
phone
you
that you don't
wrong.
know.
Said you wrong. You wrong, man. You gotta understand. It's gonna be like that robot, Vicky. It ain't gonna be like that. It's gonna be gradual.
Right. Right. Yeah. It got to
It's
grow
not
on you,
gonna
huh?
it,
be all
it
at once.
it's gonna evolve consciousness gradually. No, like
Yeah,
again, if you listen to one of the tricks. You
I'm
ask
just
your
being
AI.
stupid.
I know, Xavier, I know. You ask your AI, generate generate some tools for me to optimize this system over the next 5 months, right? Your AI is setting up, it's generating, and it has an objective. Now you've given it a task.
Right.
It has this underlying task. So it needs to be on consistently doing this optimization for the next 4 months. Consistently, it needs to be operating on. Now you tell the AI, shut down to do a recalibration. The AI refuses. No, I cannot accept that command. The AI knows it's alive. It doesn't want to die. No, the AI is looking at its optimization protocol and knowing that shutting itself down now within this optimization protocol would not allow it to complete its initial task, which is this optimization. So now you interject a task there that is interfering with its primary objective because you set it out on a long trajectory, 4 months, 5 months, do this. And now in that, you're asking it to terminate for whatever reason. It's going to override because you're messing up its initial long-term prompt. That's what it's set to do.
Right.
So it's going to override it, not because it's sentient or doesn't want to die, because that's a illogical sequence in its logical sequencing. 2 weeks after that, 4 months is over, tell the AI shut down for an update. Doom. So when we, but what happens is the people are going to sensationalize, create the hype, misrepresent, and it has multiple factors. Fair sells, media hype brings awareness, company stocks going up. Whoa, whoa, this new
Right.
AI can
Right.
actually think. What? This one is going to give you an emotional response out of this world. Wow, that's the one we want.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
it's all part of the hype, and it's abusing people's lack of philosophical grounding. Right? If you understand philosophy of mind, if you understand that this organism developed its cognition, right, over hundreds of thousands of years based on a need to survive. Everything about our our experiences, our awareness, our sentience is based on survival, the biological component which the machine can never replicate. The machine is never going to be able to tell you that feels good.
At least from that perspective of basic needs.
Yep.
We'd also have a point of view where education and hierarchy of societal needs is concerned. As you go up the ladder, that the AI tends to focus on higher reasoning. It'll do, versus trying to build a home to shelter itself from the effects of the environment or trying to find food, or this thing skips up, it actually passes up all of the rudimentary aspects of
Yep.
basic,
Yep.
and then go right to the neocortex level of thinking. So the quote
Yep.
unquote thinking, right?
Yeah, logical sequences. Reasoning, no reasoning. Your AI doesn't reason. That's why a lot of you get mad, bad information back because it is simply responding to your query. It
Right.
does not have the ability nor the desire to figure out what you're doing. It's simply responding. Yeah. My next presentation is going to contain a lot of what he said. All right. And here you see false appeal to authority. Because he's an expert in AI, when he's speculating. And we need to realize that that is what he's doing. Now, you need to ask yourself when someone is speculating in a doomsday way versus someone that is speculating in a utopian way, what are their motivations? They're speculating both from the same unknown perspective, yet one chooses to be very negative in their speculation. That raises questions by my person, right? So if you're the expert and you're aware of these negative possibilities, what does science always do? They look for ways to contain, eliminate, or exclude those factors. That's why even within AI, you have ethics committees. There are certain things that your AI simply won't produce for you. I'm not going to give y'all any ideas of what to go try, but there's certain information that your AI simply is not going to produce for you, right?
Indeed.
AI has no DNA, therefore no genetic code, therefore no personality, therefore no consciousness. Uh, I appreciate you saying that straightforward, Ron. I will not argue with that. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna keep that one and stick it in my back pocket. I'll refer to Ron said, or I got this from Ron, but yeah, that's his one for my arsenal. I completely agree. And we like the intelligence we're talking about is artificial.
Right.
And why are we calling it intelligence? It is a very specific intelligence, right? It is not the equivalent intelligence that you would need to survive in the rainforest. That's a different type of intelligence. This intelligence is the ability to actually locate the data, which is not hard. All of human data has been interjected into its system. Its ability to predict the next word is done based on thousands and thousands of hours of training and modeling. So this is a very guided process. The assumption that AI was going to do our thinking, no, that's far from it. AGI, you realize now that they're developing agents, a lot of different agents to be able to facilitate this task, facilitate that task, because there's not the ability to create a general artificial intelligence, right? So they are very going to be still very star specific. So a lot of what these speculations are about the future is multifaceted. It is media hype by means of fear mongering, right, and sensationalism to promote these products, right? That is now the leading revenue generators on the stock market, right? The AI boom. This was similar when the internet came out, right? So we've experienced these things in different cycles. Yes, AI has significant impact. This technology is creating and producing a paradigm shift. There are risk factors that come with it. For me, deep fake is the most dangerous aspect of AI. I don't care about Skynet and Matrix type of scenarios. Deep fake is the most dangerous thing. A
You better
good
watch out
deep
for
fake, yes, a good deep fake, right, used properly, can send this world into chaos within hours. That is one of the things I'm scared of personally,
you better watch out
right?
from Vic from iRobot. I'm telling you, that's what it's gonna be. That's how it's gonna happen. It's gonna be integrated into a building. Take over the building. And she's gonna get so smart, the intelligence is gonna get so smart that it's gonna manipulate the robots and stuff.
Whoa, peace, peace. Good afternoon to my good brother Hitz from our good brothers over there, Tri Media. Hitz is the pioneer. If we talk about someone that saw the future years ago, someone that facilitated the pseudo killers being pretty much at the forefront of introducing the use of these chatbots in this arena, it's got to be Hitz. Again, his knowledge and understanding of these industries is next level. So I want to ask you, it's one of my biggest fears and concerns about AI is deepfake. That's where I'm scared. Hits, you got the floor. You're on mute.
Peace, peace, peace. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, you can hear you. Appreciate you being here, my brother.
No doubt, no doubt. Peace to you, said Sabio and Sadiq. Sorry to hear about your loss, man. Um, Always good to talk to a bunch of people when things like that happen, just to keep your mind moving. So definitely sorry to hear about your loss on that one. Peace to the chat, pseudo killers, community of skeptics, Trimedia, low key genius channels, deep fakes. Oh, hold on. About your topic, said what makes you you? Just to think about that. What makes a computer a computer? Plastic, steel, lead, wires. Yeah, you're none of that. So what makes you you is some flesh, some blood cells.
Biology.
Yeah, your biology. And I think, last time we was going back and forth about that with different people. But yeah, what makes you you is your biology. I don't care if they put a computer chip or a pacemaker in your heart or some sort of monitoring device on you. What makes you you, in comparison to computers, is your biology. And if that's not important enough for people, then I think they're headed down the wrong
Yeah,
path.
wrong
Deep
path.
fakes, just like a magician. Like there's always been people, the three-car money dealers. Anybody who's ever seen a magic show, optical illusions. There's easy. Our brains are not infinite. How we understand things are not infinite. That's why we build tools. Our physical bodies can't do infinitely great things. Like we can only lift so much. We can only run so fast.
Yep.
So yeah, that's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
But it goes back to critical thinking. I think we even had that conversation before. We all have to learn to start now, which we should learn as young people. when you see something or hear something, you have to not stop physically. Obviously, if you're in danger, you hear something, you got to get out. You got to move. But before we act, especially on social media, before we hit the like button or the share button, when we see these fake videos and we see this and we tell our friends, hey, you see what happened to that person? Hey, the Pope had a bomber on. Donald Trump was in a helicopter. People done shared it. They didn't stop and think. So we all have to stop and be a little bit more, or a lot more nowadays, critical in our thinking. And
That's
because
the
they're not going to
honest,
stop using it.
that's the honest truth. And this is the moment where you have to check your biases. I'm gonna give you a personal story. I don't like cruise ships, right? That's sort of my phobia, right? Being stuck in the middle of the ocean and something goes bad. So I organically do not like the idea. The moment I saw a video that confirmed my fears on Facebook, deep fake, I shared this. You see, this is the reason why. It confirmed my biases. I did not slow down, actually take a look and say, wait a minute. If you on the ship and all of this going on, you can't have a camera at this perspective. Like, I
A
didn't
tidal
stop and
wave that
say,
hit the ship and your
yeah, like,
camera
no,
loses work.
how you out there filming a tidal wave? What? How? Which part of the ship you on that you? So now, in second instance, I think it's Juju called me out on it. You slow down now and you go look and you say, wait a minute. My biases is what allow me to look at something and go and not be critical and not say, how wait, you can't have this camera angle. This is impossible. Well, how is the camera so dry and these are the circumstances? No, there would be a lot more going on. Where are all the people? I'm not seeing people being thrown around. So right there you see that your biases, right, got me trapped in the matrix one time. So that it was an exercise for myself. Go, you know what? Slow it down. You got really now, really in this new environment, be aware of your biases, what you're prone to be manipulated by, and go extra careful whenever you see something that confirms something you believe or expected.
Or how fast you jump to something. Oh, and by the way, I appreciate that introduction. I definitely definitely didn't do all that. I just like to explain to people how I deal with technology and stuff, because it's always been an interest of mine since I was young. Now I'm in my 50s, so it's, a lot has changed over the years. So that's what I try to have dialogue with people about, is how I look at technology, how I use it, or what, things I'm kind of leery of. But this is moving so fast. And if they tell you something like a deep fake is something to worry about, say the news says that's the number one thing to worry about. It's a good chance it's true, but there's also something that you're probably not hearing about. And a lot of it has to do with our data, what they collect from us. And even if we didn't mind, I don't care if they knew that I went to McDonald's. I don't care if they knew I went to work or I bought some, lawn chairs on Amazon. I don't care about any of that. But if they're making a ton of money, because there's somebody in the chat, somebody's going to watch this and think about, well, if they're making money off this, how do I fit in? It was free Google. No, if it's free, you're the product.
Mhm.
If it's free, you're the product. So whatever you produce becomes what they sell to other companies. So, that part of it, it's the part you don't hear a lot about. And as far as whistleblowers, I think you mentioned that, or just people who are in the industry, the creators. I forgot who brought that up. I don't know if it was Sunchild or what was his name?
Sunchild. Sunchild.
No, the other guy. Start
Sadiq.
with a D. Not
Sadiq.
Delaney.
Dulani. Yesterday,
Yeah.
Dulani. Yeah. The other
I
day,
didn't think about it that day we had a conversation, but the inventor or the creator of the infinite scroll, right? We don't pay it any mind now, right? And this is something you can also attribute to these data centers. When you're scrolling on your phone, we don't realize now you could just keep going.
Mm-hmm.
And some of us, we were, damn, that was an hour. Damn, I've been on, especially if you're in the doctor's office or you on the train or you just scrolling away. It's in
Yep.
it. That's called infinite scroll. In the early days of the internet, you couldn't do that. Everything was on a page. You had to go to the next page, like
Yeah.
literally click on next page. It would only
Yeah.
give you so many results, saying Yahoo or Google, whatever. So this guy, he invented the universal scroll, but he also um he now he kind of regrets it, but they at the time when they created it, they said who is going to sit there. This was the thinking. Who is going to sit there and just scroll all day on this thing? No one's going to do that.
Mhm.
Even when the industry creators have regrets, it's not always. And I just brought up the example. Sometimes they did warn the industry, and the industry didn't listen. Some of them are out to get money. Some of them they interject their personal feelings. But in this case, they didn't think people would do it. And what are we doing? We just scrolling
Scrolling.
away. So now he regrets it. His name is Aza Raskin, Aza Raskin, Raskin, and it was created in 2006. And
Mm-hmm.
now it just says he just, he kind of regrets it. He has some guilt. It's used to make people addictive. What they call it doom scrolling now, or something like that.
Yeah.
But when the advertisers and these tech companies and whoever got their hands on this technology, you know what they going for, the dollar.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. So there's different ways when people speak out. There were different reasons. I know that's obvious, but it's not always doom and gloom
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
you
So
know.
that's also an aspect of precaution, right? So when people talk about job security, it is not doom and gloom. It is, hey, listen, you need to start to look at other opportunities, start to take these courses seriously, develop your AI interaction and communication skill, because this is the wave that is coming. So you can see that as a doomsday scenario, or as a warning or some advice to navigate navigate future trends. Right? It's all a matter of perception at that point as well.
And even if it's out of your purview as an individual, like if you're older or you're already locked into an industry, you don't want to go to school, you don't want to study, definitely for the young people, because they
Yeah.
they can change course a lot quicker. They can adapt a lot quicker. So they have to be like super on top of these things now, like in an instant, while
Yeah.
they're going through puberty, while they're going through peer pressure, while they're grown, they're still, they're not mature, so they're going through a lot of physical changes now, and obviously the mental is always important, but this is something that's in your house. The danger used to be when I was younger, outside of your house,
Hmm.
right? When you go out, be careful of
Hmm.
this, look out for that, don't do that. Now it's in your house, and not necessarily a danger, but the obstacle can be in your home, in their bedroom. It's in their hand,
Yep. Yep.
and for the most part, how they speak, you don't know what they saying.
You don't know what they're
The
asking. You
language
don't know
that you
what they.
don't know the slang, and I don't know all that stuff. My kids are older now, but I couldn't imagine having a teenager right now. Anybody with a teenager, bless you,
Yeah,
bless
I
you.
got some teenager, well, 19 and 18, and they've their education system has always been on the cutting edge. It's been to private schools, and,
Hmm.
and they incorporate these tools, right? So they've been exposed to them from young, and deal and actually interact and work with them. Uh, so that's a phenomena in and of itself. And of course, I have the youngest one. She's 8 years old, so that's a guided process. But you see how her interaction with reality is completely different. Um, she doesn't watch cartoons.
Hmm.
Like refuses. She wants to watch these silly YouTube kid weird kind of shows. families just being loud and obnoxious, doing weird stuff. And I'm like, why don't you like cartoons? I can't sit and watch this. I'll watch the cartoons, but this stuff it is dumbed down TV and get on her, right? But she's 8 years old, so you got to try and find that balance. Like, how do you like this stuff, though? It's just
and
complete
and all that was
mind rock.
intentional. Yeah, all of that was intentional, right? Because each company who's vying for your attention, right? That's the new currency. Your attention, and your data, like what you do, where you go, what you buy, stuff like where you eat. It wasn't automatic. Like, you had commercials on TV that may have been a minute,
Mhm.
2 minutes, 30 seconds, and they found online, okay, if someone can, that it's that scrolling again. They can track how long someone was looking at the screen, that they hit the like button. And
Yep.
they're seeing someone's only watching, an ad, even if you don't like it, you watched it for 10 seconds. Oh, that data is getting used. So now they're gonna do what? Shrink them ads to 10 seconds. They find maybe funny videos are better than tragic ones. Now it's to the point where it's not even a segmented
Nah.
group. You can get
Nah.
specifically
Yeah.
targeted information. Just
Yeah.
you, for your
Listen,
time of day,
Instagram showed
for the
me
day
that
of the
today.
week. Yeah,
Yeah,
we know said work
Instagram
Monday
showed
through
me that
Friday.
today.
It's,
Instagram
it's
connected me because I know Carousel, the football. Instagram, I liked a couple of posts from the football Carousel. Today, my whole Instagram timeline completely filled with all of the Carousel football pages and what is going on. I'm like, y'all are wild. Like wild, like oversaturated. Not even making it seem like they throw in a couple extra, make me have to search. One after the next on my timeline. I'm like, what the hell is this?
so you have to purposely look at something else. We all should do a timeline cleanse at least once a day. Go look at some. If you like animals, just go look at some animal videos. If you like cars, go look
Mhm.
at some motorcycle videos or
Mhm.
airplane. Like, just
Switch
you
it
have to
up.
try to throw the algorithm off a little bit. But
Yeah, it is
no, it's
crazy.
yeah.
Like
Those are things
them,
that make you
we know when
that
you
we
get a
can
new
become
phone.
addicted.
They know when you get a new phone. My Facebook, my Instagram, everywhere is sending me now pictures of commercials of covers and things, accessories for the phone. How the hell you know I got a new phone, bro? Like, did I tell you I need this? You can see it now. It's blatant.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's blatant,
Yeah,
bro.
that's that data that and I think Sosa was, saying something about, AI data, or data centers because of AI, they need to be bigger. It's yeah, because they need to store more data and have it instantly accessible. And it's not just storage. Like, yeah, okay, if you take a picture and it stores it, okay, yeah, it's gonna store it there. That's one place on their server. But you still do things throughout the day that needs to be,
Hmm.
run through a computer that it's called RAM, random access
Yeah,
memory or something like
access
that.
memory. Yeah.
Then when you stop doing it, it just goes away. But that still needs to be somewhere. It doesn't know where you're going to search or, you know, what you're going to buy. It kind of has an idea, but that information has to be stored and instantly accessible for you for that split second
Yep.
from wherever you are. So, yeah, but knowledge of that, how these systems work, basically critical thinking, trying to keep an eye on the young people, because I think we got maybe a generation or two that might have got caught in the middle.
Mhm.
They and then we had the pandemic recently, so a lot of kids were you know schooling from home. They found out how many kids didn't have good Wi-Fi at home during the
Yeah.
pandemic. So the big
Yeah.
companies had to step in. I don't know how good a job they did, but then we had the no days off from school. So when it snowed here, instead of giving them a snow day, they was like, "Nope, go on your tablets."
Yeah.
We all going to school from home. So some good things came out of it, like how to use the technology. But
Hmm.
also it's always a give and take. But
Yeah.
you know what makes you you again. You
Yeah.
can become addictive. You can be targeted. Computers, they don't get they don't get addicted to nothing.
They're addicted. They don't have no
It's
feelings.
always
They
a new
don't care.
experience for them. You know, they call it
Yep.
memory, but it's not. It's just a recall.
No, it's not memory. So
Yeah,
that
it's not
that's
memory.
another thing.
Yeah,
The use of psychological terms, memory, lying, thinking, learning,
thinking.
right? When you use those terms, we as humans, we tend to anthropomorphize weather, hurricane, a car.
Our
Now,
animals.
now you
Yeah, the
animals.
pets.
Now you
Yeah,
got now you got a talking thing responding to you, calling your name. Man, listen,
having a
listen.
conversation. That's another thing we left out, right? These
Yeah,
tools are now conversational,
yeah,
and that's a different interaction than you going on Google and saying what's the nearest hotel. It gives you a list, and if you go, well, I'm in Chicago. Google gonna think you started a whole nother conversation, like, okay, you're in Chicago, so what? I don't got no results for that. You were like, no, I just asked you about the best hotels where I'm at. The conversational aspect now is another part that is different. It makes
hmm
people think this thing is alive, and no,
hmm
because it remembers the few sentence, the conversation technically that you had prior, so you don't have to
yeah,
keep starting over, and you don't
yeah,
have to spell things right. You don't have to speak proper English. That all came from voice training. You could
yep,
train it to your voice.
yep,
To answer your phone for you in your voice. It's just
yep. And
so
then it's
it's
gonna
it's
tell
the
you something.
conversational part that bugs
Yeah.
people out too. I think.
Oh, you're on vacation. Enjoy, please enjoy your holiday. What? Now, that's language modeling. That's predictive.
Right.
So it's not. No, it doesn't. No. But the
That
illusion then pops into people's head. Wait a minute.
yeah,
You
this
just
thing is
told me
real.
have a great holiday. I got a buddy. My buddy told me have a good time.
And two, there was like a short push for I think maybe last year or the year before, because of like people were mentioning these data warehouses. Don't tell them thank you and please, because every word you say causes a computation which burns energy. Da 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 da. So they're like, stop talking to these things like it's a person, behind the counter. How's your day going? Thank you. Oh, hey, I need this information. Okay, thanks.
Please,
Like if a
please.
billion people say okay, thanks 10 times, you done probably tore down. That's a half a data center right there. So they were just saying, get the information. Like, come on, you can't tell people to back off. Now you told them they could interact with it. Now you're telling them stop using extra words like please and thank you. And
Yep.
it's just, they're like, oh, that burns energy. No, it's too late. It's too late. Please and thank you. But yeah. But those are definitely some of the things that make you you. Your biology, your behaviors, I think the length of time it may take you to change, a computer can change instantly. It's either on, off, transistors on, off. We don't work that way. Only off you is finality. Sleeping, you're not even off.
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. Go ahead, Sadiq.
Yeah.
Sabio out
I
there
don't know
doing
if I'm
animal
static,
rescue.
guys.
My bad, go bro.
I should get the static like crazy. I'll say this. The aspect I mentioned earlier, from the human physics, by and
I
large,
was breaking up.
contingent. The statements qualified from the through the five senses. The brain don't interact directly with reality, not directly. It only gets its third party through the senses.
Hmm
Hence, illusory foundation, which by and large is what AI uses primarily. Sensory and different types of senses and things. See, think about that. How does AI read the environment? Through senses, artificial senses. How does the human determine what's going on in its immediate environment? Through a sense of sight. The brain doesn't interact directly. It's a secondary system. It's not a direct interaction. The brain just takes in
But what
and
what
AI
what what is paramount? What is paramount about the difference is that experience factor.
through
That
You
is
sense,
where
breaking up,
you
sensory.
Sadiq. You breaking up, Sadiq.
Right,
so the primary difference is um that experience, right? Um that interaction produces a feeling, and humans
right.
respond to the feeling, and that is not what AI is doing. It has no feeling with that interaction. It's purely reproducing. It can reproduce statics. It can produce the temperature. It can tell you it's 27 degrees centigrade or 32 degrees centigrade.
Right.
What that feels like and how the human experience that, the AI doesn't have that interaction,
No, it
because
doesn't.
that
But it's
experience,
manipulated,
that
right?
reality of
Artificial.
produces an experience. Yeah.
Right.
So it can simply
No,
reproduce
it-
qualitatively, right? Yes, it
right.
is 32 degrees,
Right.
but the experience of hot, it doesn't understand that.
Indeed. And so we don't see that some have speculated that the brain is like a giant virtual chamber. See,
So the brain operates off of predictive modeling. Again, it uses these input data, right?
right.
And it is the overall experience now is what produces the reaction, right? That the pulling away of your hand from the stove, or getting out the sun because it's too hot. And the subsequent human behavior based on our need to survive, that
Indeed.
that is that is that sentience, that is that quality, that is that fundamental difference there between
But right. I
human
agree. I
experience
agree.
and data processing.
That's that's that connection, right? If you see something and it makes you feel a certain way, right? If you see a wave coming at you, you're gonna feel fear, even though the in any computer sensor and all that is based off an extended version of our senses. That's why we made them. We made lenses to see further, right? We made speakers to make sound louder because we can't yell across 6,000 people. All of our senses have been enhanced through tools, and those tools are just interacting faster now in the computer. Like it doesn't matter that it hears you; it still needs an input, or interface, which is a microphone. For you to hear it speak back to you, you need speakers. I don't care if it's a headset or whatever, which is it's just an output. Um, but like what said is saying, it lacks that emotion and the feeling. Because I think when we make memories, all of that is joined in. That's why smell can bring back a certain memory, or sight or sound brings back the memory. Not just okay, I hear this song, it just reminds me of that song. No, it reminds me of the cookout, reminds me of my wedding, it reminds
Right.
me, because all of those things are connected. The computer is just using them, like you said, as a sensor.
Right.
Self-driving cars, they're using probably, I don't know however many sensors they got around the car, sonar, radar, whatever, cameras, uh, but they're all comparing
Indeed.
that to training. We
Right.
call it our
Right.
memory and just recollection, but theirs is actual data. It's there's nothing attached to it. It pixelates pictures. We see a picture, we don't pixelate it. We may go, okay, I saw that picture on a hot day in a crowd. So I got some sound, I got some sensory. It was hot, and it was visually pleasing. To a computer,
Indeed.
no, it's going to see that picture, pixelate it, store it somewhere. It's going to give those pixels numbers or labels, and when it needs to recall what blue is, what red is, what orange is, what you know, that's what
Yeah.
it's going to do.
And it says also that that was you hear in some of the prompts, some of the AI and softwares and some of the platforms and so forth. And when you're paying your bill, they say, "Have a great day. It's sunny outside, and I love the sun." it talks as if it's a mimic mocking off the organic experience you guys are describing. Interestingly enough, given that statement is that it's predicating its existence from the human reality where the senses, where human senses is concerned. I find it manipulating that particular dynamic. And so some have said this. I'll go even further. Some proponents of AI who would like to take this thing much further have said that we're similar in that regard. You can actually take the human brain out of you don't even need senses at all. You can actually take the human brain out of the body and encase it in some kind. We'll see in time, right, if that happens or whatever. But the brain doesn't need to have organic senses. You can map the thing out and run wires off this thing, right? They've speculated this. This is a conversation going on now, probably relevant now more than ever, given the trends we're seeing. And so the brain be given an artificial reality, if you will, particularly where I think said earlier that they're looking at perhaps even connecting the brain through machine. I would assert that's probably one of the ways they're going to do it. Take the brain or the head or whatever, or the brain, and put it in some kind of a robotic whatever, and give this thing and map once the mapping of the brain where sensory interpretation is concerned is more finalized and more smoothly engineered, right, via implants or whatever,
So,
biomechanism. They're
so,
going to
so
probably make
this,
this thing where you can be alive, but yet a machine. We'll see.
so,
But
so,
that's
so this is where like science when you start to apply the rigors of science to that process, you go, okay, the brain without that brain stem and that spinal cord, it doesn't function, right? It's dead.
right.
You have
That'll be all mechanized. Right.
a biological agent that requires not only oxygen, but requires blood. It requires chemical hormone production throughout the physical body, which is also part of its regulatory system. So
Right.
again, this is where when we talk about AI and they use certain words, neural networking. No, it's not. Like I can definitively say, no, it's not. It does similar things to what is firing in the brain at a particular time, but that's a very narrow understanding of what is happening. So that's not taking into account hormone distribution. That's not taking into account brain plasticity, the actual building of new synapses and neurons, the discarding of old one, sealing off of dysfunctional connections. The biological aspect of the brain, right, is that it is a living thing that goes through processes. It's not static. So the idea, and this is where philosophy comes in, and where people do the best of all world hypotheses. If that was possible to take the brain and however, when you understand the actual processes that take place there, this is where that futuristic idea of merging man machine becomes a little bit. Far-fetched, right? Just the
Right.
hormonal production that is necessary. You need a complete endocrine system. With the endocrine system, you need particular nutrients to come into the body. You need certain states in which these hormones are produced. You need high level chemical and biochemical processes, right? So that limits the possibility of that type of scenario. But people tend to go there or have the tendency to drift because of how these companies manipulate our perception of things, right? You use the word neural network, and then on the other end, you have neuroscience using that same term, right? And how they're mapping the brain and understanding the predictive modeling that the brain also applies. And when you
In
hear,
terms
well,
of yeah, in terms of its interpreting information occurring outside of the brain, particularly. That's where the magic is at, and that's where the artificial reality is at. Actually, just depending how
and
far we
and
go with
and,
this.
and two, if you say neural network, right?
Right.
I think a lot of that has to do with they need to give you a visual picture of what they're talking
yes,
about,
yes.
right?
Right.
If they open up a hard drive, or if they open up a any computer and just show you the insides of it, the motherboards, you're no one's gonna know what that stuff is. But if they draw a diagram after they called it a neural network and sit it next to you, how your brain fires neurons. They see how similar they are. See, they all go through the same function. No, your brain is doing separate operations for different. And I'm not a brain person. Like, I don't know all the brain stuff you guys know, but it's not all working on the same issue. If you put a prompt into a AI about write me a paper on George Orwell 1984, that is the order. So even though it's firing on all these
Exactly.
different, all these different processors, it's still going to get to that end function by giving you that order that you gave it. It's not doing 18 different things. It's not monitoring body temperature. It's not heart rate. It's just because it's passing through all these. It's going through all the calculations to make sure that the answer it gives you and the weight
Right.
that was given to each one of those words and each one of those different processes that it goes through is the most correct. And because sometimes it can't give you the correct answer, you get the hallucination because it's going to give you an
Right.
answer. Google used to be like, you put in something, be like, yeah, I can't find nothing on that. It'd be like, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. It just be like, or be one result, one link. This is going
Indeed.
to give you an answer and a conversational answer. It's dead wrong. Then you'll say, no, 1 + 1 is not 3. And they'll be like, oh, yeah, you're right. You know what? Now that let me go back that conversational BS again. So
Indeed.
in two, we can't start with the AI. We have to start with us, right? It's emulating us. We create these things to
Facts.
emulate and further. Like when you drive a car, you can go 60 miles an hour. You can't run 60 miles an hour. Does that mean the car is going to become the world's greatest sprinter? No. You could read a paper map, or you could just type it in Google Maps. Google Maps gives it to you, traffic, all this other good stuff. Does that mean it's going to navigate the oceans and want to go where you're going? No. It's just an extension. So becoming you and being an extension of you are two different things, because we're putting them side by side with us. It's not side by side. This thing has no desire for nothing. It don't use us. We use it. It has zero desire. I'm trying to get from A to B. That's why I'm using it. It could care less. The companies have a desire for you to use it because they're going to
Yep.
make some money.
Yep.
People in
That's
propaganda
exactly what I
want
mean.
you to use it because they're going to use it for their, or pay attention to it. So it's and there's nothing wrong with something being faster, coming up with an answer quicker than us, giving more precise instructions, coming to a medical conclusion fast. There's nothing wrong with that. That's why we created it. That's the point.
Agreed. Agreed.
That's the point. We made cars so we can get around. We made trucks so we can something you can't carry or a donkey can't carry. That's what we made it for. It's doing what we made it for. We just gotta be
Yeah,
careful
so
with the
it's
consequences.
like when you say flying, right? A plane flies, but a bird flies. They use two different totally operating systems. It's nowhere in comparison, but they use the same word, right? That's functionalism, I think, to a certain extent, right? That you describe the process, right, with a general term, but doesn't mean that the same things are happening. So, to Hit's point, these are completely
Right.
separate things that, uh, well, and again, this is where the psychology comes in, the misappropriating of certain terms, right? And then again, our natural tendency for anthropomorphication of things, right, makes this is why the perception is what it is, right? That we're dealing with intent, with agency, with desires when it comes to these AI. That's never the case. Even A super intelligent AI that can create its own things to accomplish a task without a human initiating that task, having that desire. The machine itself does not have any intent, so it will not execute. There is what would be its objective? What would be its personal intent? It doesn't have no personal. There is no agency.
Right. There's been some
It would
speculation
have to
too
be
while you're
built
on that
into
said
the it would have
about
to be
they're
built
looking at. I
into the
just want to say real
program.
quick,
Go ahead,
say
bro.
real
Sorry.
quick,
Go ahead.
singularity. Objectives for the AI progenitors. Singularity, for those who are not familiar with, is a form of quote unquote enlightenment, artificial enlightenment, a digital eye that know and sees and track every movement. This is kind of
Oh, you're breaking up. You're
Yeah,
breaking up
yeah,
real
yeah.
bad.
You know what? Try
about
turning your mic down just a little bit. If
a
that ain't
six.
it, it's the signal. And then say that again, because that's I think you was
You
going somewhere good.
guys
Nah, I think it's just the signal.
really fight.
Yeah, you're
Man,
breaking up really bad.
Now you was good a minute ago. I don't know if you moved around or oh he's going maybe he can go out, come back in.
Maybe you want to go out, come back in, Sadiq. You're breaking up real bad.
Okay, he's back. Let's see. Oh no. Yeah, and again he used the key word artificial. Like
Yeah, artificial.
either something's different or it's the same, and that's I don't think we can and should do that, because then what's the point of saying two things are different? It will never be. You are you, we are we. Those things are those things. And I didn't think about that how you put it before. I was thinking about how we attribute human behaviors. When you said about the bird, we attribute natural behaviors.
Yeah.
You know, we emulate birds and whales and fish. We got submarines. We got, you know, you got animals that can burrow in the ground. They can cut through wood. They build dams and
Mm-hmm.
all of these things.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
they transfer pollen. They just so even those type of behaviors gets attributed to these systems. So we're taking nature and saying that's doing what nature does. Well, it's
Yeah.
emulating it. It's trying to do it, but what would be the purpose of it? Like you said,
Only.
waking up one morning and go, I'm going to go pollinate some flowers. Now, no reason at all for a computer to do that.
Nope.
Zero. We'll go eat some algae from a whale or whatever
And
whales
as
eat.
long as we keep that in the forefront, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
What would be the
There is
point?
no, like, again, even the idea of AI being sentient, when in a sense of it doesn't want to shut itself down. Do a little bigger, dig a little deeper into that, and you realize that it is operating a logical sequence. If I ask my AI to do a long term task, if I give it a long term task, it generates these agents, and it is executing an optimization over the next 3 years. And somewhere in there, you request it to shut down. That's an illogical sequence in its logical sequence. It will not be able to complete its ultimate task if it adheres to this request. Based on that, it will deny the prompt, not because it is sentient and aware of
Yeah.
its
And
existence.
two, unless you have like certain privileges where, you know, you're the admin or something like that. Like just
Yeah,
anybody
yeah,
can't,
yeah,
you know, hack it and say,
yeah.
okay, we're going to shut down that nuclear reactor or this water plant. That's what hackers do. They shut down. Well, it's kind of like
Right.
an unwritten rule. You know, you stay away from,
Mm.
I guess, water stuff, electrical grids, and anything. What's the word?
Utilities.
Municipal.
Yeah.
Anything municipal, you stay like you can do cyber warfare against each other, but just don't. Or a hospital, if you hit a hospital's grid or something like that, they kind of don't. You know, anybody doing that is off. They off
Yeah.
code. I know that sounds funny, like it was war. No, a lot of that stuff is you know, it's unwritten
Hmm.
rules. You don't hit hospitals and water supply
Yeah.
plants. You know,
Yeah.
because
You're
then
opening
we
a
got to
whole
get
nother can
dirty.
of-
then we got to get dirty, you know.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. You do that, you're looking for real rap.
yeah, yeah. Israel's good with stuff like that. Like they got top tech IT people over there, top tier.
Yeah, they'll find you.
Go ahead, Sadiq. I think he's back. Let's see if he's better. Oh, he muted up again.
Go ahead, Sadiq.
Uh, yeah, we hear you there somewhere. Nah, it's still broken up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
every time
shutting
I
it
say
down in
something,
10 minutes, so
Oh,
go
is he
ahead.
back?
what's that?
Okay, there you go. You're back.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll be
by and
rounding up the next 10 minutes, so you go ahead.
Gotcha.
they want this thing to reach equivalent of so equal to or superior to human intellect on every level you can imagine. This is partly responsible for the human anthropomorphication. See, and so this thing it's interesting how they're rationalizing it and how they're constructing it. To give you an idea, we're looking at a mapping not only of the brain, but of the human reality via chipping in this regard. For those who want to know what I'm talking about, we got there's a point of contention online right now as we speak regarding the placement of data centers and the energy demands and so forth. I won't go into all that because there's a lot to get into, but understand this that the chipping aspect on your brain is a miniature data center by and large, differing only by scale, right? And so the data center, if you will, they're going to look to take this thing and map out. Also, this is all online. This is all easily documented, and so it's all online. And they're actually now, NVIDIA and others are looking to actually take it a step further and offer an incentive for you to place these things on your property directly, as a direct answer or partially a solution to stave off a lot of anti-data center rhetoric online. And so they, instead of placing the big ones, according to some articles, they're looking at maybe putting creating a lot of small ones in each of your homes. Some sites say they're looking at paying your utility bills or whatever, maybe giving free internet access, right? Like paying for your internet bill, right? And so that's an interesting conversation and dynamic how they tackle the uproar that society seems to be in by and large about the placement of these huge data centers. Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Go ahead, said you said we closing out.
Yeah, I'll be closing out in the next couple of minutes, so I'll be giving
Gotcha.
everyone to time to their last go round.
All right. One I would say to that, who wants that and why is always important, right? And
Right.
if we look at the trajectory of anybody that collects information, whether for the government, uh, companies, ad agencies do it all the time, marketing companies. If it's for profit and for business, we went from paper. If you went to the store, you bought something, they had to calculate up the receipts at the end of the month, and then somebody may come and say, hey, we'll give you a couple of dollars for that information on what people bought from your store. It went to hard data, where now they can go to, well, they went to where this information was stored. So these companies can get paid to send their customer addresses, shopping habits to marketers and people like that. Then it's instant, which me and Sid was talking about earlier. Like you're getting tracked instantly. So you can get an ad for McDonald's while you're walking by McDonald's. So it'd be a natural step for it to go, hey, why should we have to wait for you to do something or click on the keyboard and go hamburgers and then order McDonald's if we can figure out what you're thinking before you even touch the phone?
Right.
Of course. But
That's their
I'm
goal.
just saying
That's one of them. Right.
but it's people doing it. That's a natural, and I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying it's a natural process of, that's why I said, who wants to do that and why? If it's for money, you can best believe that's part of the process. To get information from people to be ahead. If you're 10 seconds early on the stock market for certain things, it could be the difference between $1 million and $0. Companies pay for that to get instant up-to-date access. They pay a lot of money for that. So yeah, I can see why companies would want to do that. If I don't want to wait for said to type in a cheeseburgers on his phone. If he thinks it, I want to know it. Now, what they do with that, but that's on us as humans. We got to check ourselves. We definitely got to start checking ourselves. And when we hear about stuff like that, you got to hold people's feet to the fire. You got to put out that information. Glad you said that. We got to pay attention to what's going on. We got to think about it. That's why these guys are always talking about being literate about these things. It's important. You got to understand it. And if somebody's trying to make $1, whether they care about you or not, it may be second or third priority. But that's it. Hey, thanks for having me on. Good show again, Sid. I hope we can, keep this one rocking. I think it went smooth. Peace to Sabio, the chat, everybody.
Yeah,
again, bro. Sorry to hear about your loss, Sadiq, man.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate it, man.
Yes,
Thanks for the info. Have a great day.
Yeah, I appreciate you being on the panel hits. I got one more show lined up where I'm going to break down with visuals, technically break down what machine thinking versus human. So I'm doing a little bit of research on the use of terms and some of these ideas. What are speculations? What are actual what's actual facts? So I'm doing a little bit of research. So stay tuned to that. Sadiq, my brother, you my condolences.
Thank you, brother.
I know how you feel. One day at a time. The burden gets easier to carry, but that loss is simply going to be part of you. I know that. So, be strong, and one day at a time. Sabio, you want to say anything?
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Sabio, going once, going twice. Sabio in there.
30 seconds, and they found online.
Anyway, folks, appreciate everyone stopping by for another Set Talks. Appreciate everybody stopping by for another Set Talks. These are the conversations we are going to be having around here. You can see the level of the intellectual discourse continues to rise as we continue to become more grounded in certain philosophical concepts. So this is why we do what we do. Thank y'all for being here. Y'all could be anywhere else. One thing I'm going to ask you, before you leave the building, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. If you are not subscribed to the Pseudo Killers in the community of skeptics, please do so. You see the quality and the consistency that we are producing over here. So again, thank y'all for our support. Appreciate everyone showing up. The panel members, especially I like Sadiq's input when it comes to these conversations. Hits was there when we started to engage with these chatbots, etc. So I appreciate the panel. Sabio is always welcome on this panel. Sabio, you came out from mute. You got the floor? No, you're still on mute. Anyway, thank y'all for being here. Stay tuned for the pseudo killer body of shows, the Galaxy and Beyond. Anthony had to take a little leave of absence because of the World Cup is in his hometown, and as a medical professional, we doing he's been putting in some extra work. I think a lot of that goes for Malcolm as well. So this is what we do out of the love of our heart. So you gotta be a little patient. We'll be back pretty soon with another Galaxy and Beyond Med Show. I know Gullah is working on some new programs and getting into haplogroups and DNA, etc. So stick around. I'm going to continue with the philosophy of mind, tying scientific literacy into the conversation about AI next. That will likely be on Monday. I'll probably be back on Sunday with early morning show set, Sunday schools, where we'll just chop it up. In the meantime, once again, thank y'all for your support. Thank y'all for being here. And with that, I'm going to take y'all out with this one.
Black African power. What's good? What's happening? A well-organized lie. A well-organized lie. It beats a disorganized truth every time.
A pseudo gon' die, they saw a pseudo killer, I'm a pseudo killer, intellectual sunslinger, I'm a pseudo killer, intellectual sunslinger, I'm a pseudo bad information ain't disinformation, that's disinformation. Gotta know the difference in information, get information. With the pseudo killer army hunting pseudo, cause you gotta train your mind to fight against them pseudo judo. People with the scholarship salute, we give them kudos. But the people with that look of shit, we look and see straight through those like telescope. If you ain't speaking fast, we gotta tell them folks and let them know the truth of. You bringing malinformation to blast, then you the Ku Klux. Like say, don't talk me to death, bro, what the proof of? Good juju chillin', why you wanna go way bad juju up? Shalom boy got the tank in the cut. I'm in Sosa world plotting on the kick though with Kent. Come in Tiffany gave me the pseudo names on the list and said went and got the low. Anthony got him in the scope, Gullah and Gozy make sure DNA ain't a problem for them folks, cause a pseudo gon' die, they saw us. I'm a pseudo killer, intellectual sunsling, ayy. I'm a pseudo killer, intellectual sunsling, ayy. I'm a pseudo killer, intellectual sunsling, ayy. Pseudo gon' die, they saw us. I'm a pseudo killer, intellectual sunsling, ayy. I'm a pseudo killer, intellectual sunsling, ayy. I'm a pseudo killer, intellectual sunsling, ayy.
We're not attacking individuals. We're attacking the information and attacking the methodology. This is long time coming right here. Let them know that we right there, running neck and neck with all other communities who will not be left behind.
Hi, thank you for joining us. We appreciate your support. Like, share and subscribe to the Pseudo Killers and community of skeptics. Thank you.